SMX Insider previews High Point, Chance Hymas, can he keep it going? And who can challenge Jet Lawrence? SMX Insider is next. Yeah, welcome to SMX Insider. We are the Jasons, Weigandt, and Thomas. Round 3 of Pro Motocross, part of the SMX World Championship done. We're previewing round 4 at High Point, first Eastern round of the championship. And I'll be honest, JT, in the domination run that Hayden Deegan in the 250s and Jet Lawrence, but they were putting together in both their classes, Jet in the 450 class, I did not think that Deegan would be the first one to be handed a legitimate defeat. It's a 1-1 for Chance Hymas. So put Chance Hymas on the board, the first to officially break through overall against either Deegan or Jet.
Yeah, I think if this was NXT Bets line here, it certainly felt like whether it's Tomac or whoever was going to be the first one to break the streak between Jet and Deegan. So kudos to Chance Hymas. I guess kudos to Jet for continuing his streak also. But man, overall, what an impressive weekend for Hymas. It's really hard to argue against. He was the man on Saturday.
Yeah, and furthermore, to preview High Point, he said after the race at Thunder Valley, I'm good at ruts, number 1, and 2, High Point also has ruts. So we'll see how that impacts the proceedings. As for the 450s, just real quick here, yes, Jet keeps winning, but it sure keeps staying close.
Yeah, I think this is just who Jet is. You know, if you look at it on paper, he can match anyone so far in his career or surpass them. But the way he goes about it, it's more methodical. The race kind of feels in question a lot of the time. I think the unanswerable question is it really in question? Or is this just how Jet goes about his winning and it's never going to change? I really don't have a strong theory for it because I always feel like he could stretch the lead if he wants to, but if he never does, could he really?
And that question may or may not get answered at High Point. It could be close again, or maybe someone will actually beat him. We'll talk about the chances of that happening in this episode. Also, a look back at a big weekend for the WMX Women's Championship. Got to air their performance live on Peacock. That was really fun. And man, did they show out with a great race for multiple positions. We'll talk about that and many other things, including JT and I giving our picks of who's probably outperformed expectations and who's underperformed through the first 3 rounds. Plus your favorites like SMX Facts and our SMX Medical Update. Let's get to it. 30-second board, hot topics within the sport. Let's give a quick shout out to the St. Jude Love Moto Stop Cancer campaign, which always rolls through Monster Energy Supercross, JT, but now it is aligned with the whole SMX and Pro Motocross season as well, and that includes a new limited edition American-themed shirt. Might be a cool one to show off at Redbud. It'll be available right after High Point concludes. Just text the word SUPER to 785-833 and get the shirt, and all that money for the shirt goes to a good cause.
It is a great cause, and I really had my eyes open to this, getting to travel to Memphis a little over a year ago and visiting some of these children, getting to speak to some of the doctors and scientists involved there, and you nailed it with a good cause. I don't know that there is a better one out there, so get your phone out, get your wallet out, donate, get that shirt on.
Yep, and then wear it at Redbud. Celebrate 4th of July with the Love Moto Stop Cancer American-themed shirt. And let's keep rolling here in the next topic on 30-second board. You're probably seeing the name Racing Kyler over there on the graphic and saying, who is that? Well, she is an 11-year-old girl who is very, very fast now on a 65, also pretty sporty on a 50. And she has been announced as part of Team USA for the FIM World Junior Cup. Now, this race, which some people kind of call the mini Cross the Nations, it's kind of a team race, kind of like Motocross of Nations, but for amateurs. She's not in the women's class, JT. She just got picked because she's as fast as the American boys to represent Team USA.
Yeah, this is really cool. And you think about the results she's putting in, whether it's going to be internationally or here. You know, I'm sure she's on the road to Loretta Lynn's as well. She's the real deal. So it's going to be fun to watch her progress. She's still so young, and there's going to be a lot of progression made over the next few years. She could be that next WMX superstar that we're going to be talking about for a very long time.
Yeah, shout out to our old friend Eric Sorby, who I know has been working very hard with her down in Florida to get her ready for that event. That's fun. And you mentioned WMX. Well, the spotlight was on. I'd even say, JT, a little pressure was on. So with the rain Friday at Thunder Valley, their moto was moved to Saturday, which meant we got to air it live. And I'm sure there were a lot of people that were excited, but B, saying, well, what kind of action are we really going to see here? And boy, did they bring it.
They did. And I think with the way the track was and the conditions, the rains we had, and you're thinking about this is at the end of the day, after 4 motos of pro motocross, how is this going to go for these women trying to ride on this track? They haven't been out there all day, right? The track had completely changed since they saw it. And you want to talk about stepping up to the plate. This was some of the best racing of the day. The battle between first and second, which was Lala Turner and Charlie Cannon, and then the race between Stallings and Nielsen for third and fourth. I don't know that we saw closer battling than that. And then the end of the race, those two going down, battling for third and fourth, and Jordan Jarvis somehow finding her way onto the podium. It was the gift that kept on giving. Honestly, it was the highlight of my day. And it was, listen, this is at the end of a very long day for everyone. And to be the upside surprise that it was such a home run across the board.
So WMX, pressure was on to perform with everyone watching. They did it, so good job. Time for the big interview. Well, stars were made in the WMX series over the weekend in Thunder Valley. Got the show live on Peacock, and they all rode spectacularly well. We got Charlie Cannon with us, who you saw finish second in that one. But Charlie, we thank you for putting on a great battle with Lala Turner there. We'll get to the actual details of the race in a moment, but I just want to hear about your journey. We know that you're coming back from surgery. You're hanging out in the United States because your team does have a United States squad, but you're from Australia. What was your travel? Where did you stay? Where did you ride? Where did the surgery get done? All this stuff that led to these 3 rounds.
Yeah, so, well, I was all ready to come over on the Sunday before Parla, but unfortunately, my last ride, I just had a little stack in a corner and completely stuffed up my index finger. So I had surgery with plates and screws to fix it and straighten it all up. And then the next day, flew out to America, but I wasn't able to ride during the week, so I just stayed, I think, in Marietta, and went and watched a few guys just ride out at like local tracks. I just did what I could in the gym to be semi-okay for the race days.
The first one, I'm sure you were kind of wondering how this was going to go, but could you feel it start to get better and better and better through these 3?
Yeah, I did not know what to expect coming into Parla. I didn't even know if I could really use the clutch or even start, but I got through it. I managed, and definitely race like weekend by weekend. It was a slight difference in improvement. From Parla, that was really difficult. I had no feel. I pretty much just did no clutch motos. But then Hangtown, I was able to get a bit of feel, but it was just really painful, and like I just couldn't really ride aggressive and like my normal self. Same with Thunder Valley. That track got brutal as we like raced at the very end of the day. The downhill bumps, it was tough on like controls, but I think, yeah, my improvement was massive from every round, and I'm just happy that I could, work my way up another step on the box every round. So that I'm happy about that.
And then, as luck would have it, rain washed out the race program on Friday, which is normally when WMX would compete. Then everything shifted to Saturday, and we got you girls live on Peacock, or as they would say in Australia, the SMX Video Pass. So that was cool exposure for WMX. Did you see some feedback, or have you gotten back home and people have said that they watched it? What did that do for really the profile of you, or just WMX in general, from what you can see?
Yeah, I think having that rain out day and moving us to Saturday was probably the best thing that could have happened, because a lot of interaction came from that. So many people saying positive things and wanting to see more of the WMX riders, which is awesome. And it just kind of shows like the young generation that, there is a place for them when they get older. And I just hope we keep the momentum and hopefully get more rounds that are live streamed. That would be awesome, and just showcase us, because we put a lot of effort and work like just as much as the guys do into this, and to like for us to be able to showcase, you know, what we do on the race is really cool for us as well. So yeah, I'd love to see more of it on Peacock.
So WMX will return last 3 rounds of August, hoping for even better there.
Yeah, I'm ready to you know, make a plan. I see my surgeon tomorrow and make a plan to get back into training and come back for the 4th round fit and healthy. So yeah, excited to keep the battles going and see what we can do, because I'm here for this championship and I know I'm quite a bit down now. So to get back into the chase, I need to start winning a lot of motos. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be pushing for. So it'll be cool to watch.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it. Like I said, I think some stars were really born there over the weekend at Thunder Valley. People are going to be pumped when you're all back to the track. So honestly, thanks for doing it. You could have just said, America's too far away, I can't get it done, or I'm hurt or something. Thanks for showing up and putting on a great show. We appreciate the time too.
No, thank you.
All right, next topic here is Honda. So they go 1-1, 1-1 in the 2 classes. They were on the ropes a little bit, JT. There was a while we were joking with the team manager over there, Lars Lindstrom, that everything they were touching was turning to gold, starting with a Supercross title now more than 2 years ago with Chase Sexton, and then through the Lawrence brothers' domination of 250s and 450s rolling through last year. And then all of a sudden, the train was kind of off the tracks. Back on now.
It wasn't, and you say everything they touch turns to gold. Well, you could also say that they had the competition seeing red on Saturday, because everywhere you looked was a Honda out front kind of doing their thing. And yes, there were challenges in the 450 class. AP was fantastic. Eli Tomac, everywhere he went, there were cheers following him around the racetrack. But at the end of the day, you look up at the results column and you see that red Honda wing out front. So there were a lot of top Honda personnel at this event, and they had to be very, very excited with what they saw on Saturday afternoon.
I think it's key to note how integrated the entire program is. The 250s and the 450s, it's one team. Some factories still work the other way with their 2 separate teams. And also how closely integrated Hymas's program is with the Lawrence's. You know this, JT. For example, I went in the Honda truck Saturday morning, and you see Michael Byrne, who is, I guess you would say he's the coach for Hymas, but it's not like he doesn't work super integrated in with the Lawrences. They all ride at the Lawrences compound in Florida. You really can't even draw a line between the Hymas program and the Lawrence program and the 250s and the 450s. They're all pulling in the same direction.
They are. And Burner works individually on technique with riders like Hamaker and Hymas, where, the training programs are more designed by Johnny O'Mara for the Lawrences. But as you mentioned, they're all riding together. You think about Michael Byrne's integration with Team Australia for the Motocross of Nations. He's worked with Hunter going back to 2017. That's how long Michael Byrne has been around Hunter Lawrence in this capacity. So there's a lot of trust there. There's a lot of leaning on each other for advice, for insight, line selection, all those things. And for me, it's impossible to think that Hymas hasn't been dragged forward by the success of the 2 Lawrence brothers as well.
Yep, certainly worked there. The real question is this a one-shot performance for Hymas, or is he a legitimate threat to go 1-1 more, including this weekend at High Point? And if he does it, this will be the racetrack he's doing it on. Take us through it, JT.
Well, I think High Point's one of the iconic tracks. It's gone back so far in this series, and it's very similar to layouts you could look back 20 years ago. I was looking at a photo of myself racing this track in 2005, and the track's not all that much different. I think some of the biggest change you're going to see is all the trees they've removed. So if you're going to attend this race on the weekend, you can actually see across the entire valley and watch the battles unfold, where years ago you couldn't see a whole lot. Now, as for the track in the course, it's very ruddy, as Chance Hymas mentioned, so you have to be really precise. It's not a racetrack where you can just attack it with reckless abandon. You have to be methodical. You have to think about line choice. And you're going to love this, Weege. We have a big chance of rain on Saturday. So High Point and mud go together like, Weege and not spending money. So just watch for that. If we get heavy rains on Friday and Saturday, everything could go out the window.
Look, I know you thought I was going to be upset that early in the week you're predicting we could have a mud race, but I will say if there's one race I'm going to carve out that is an acceptable prediction to make, it is High Point, where if it doesn't rain on Saturday race day, it's going to rain on Friday during press day. I don't know if we ever get through a weekend at High Point where there isn't any rain at all. So yes, I will admit that there's probably a chance that weather could impact the way this track races this weekend. So a lot of variables to deal with this weekend, from weather, it'll be East Coast dirt for the first time, who has momentum, who does not, how will it affect the predictions? Let's go to the experts, James Stewart and Clinton Fowler, with the inside line.
Thanks, Mr. Weege. Appreciate it. What's up, people? This is JS7. As you know, I got my boy Clinton Fowler. We're going to break it down for you. We hear from these other guys, but you got to hear from the inside line. So, Clinton, this weekend, before we go, let's talk about the podium. What do we have this weekend for the podium odds?
Podium odds are pretty interesting, James. We got Jet Lawrence at a minus 2,400. It's like the sure bet from Vegas. Not a lot of money to be made at a just under $21 payout on 20 bucks. Eli Tomac feels like a sure lock, minus 233, paying out just under $29 on a $20 bet. Hunter Lawrence, very interesting, minus 122, paying out $36. Aaron Plessinger, man, he was good last weekend, James. They got him for a minus 110, paying out $38. And Jason Anderson, the dark horse, maybe the long shot here, plus 177. That would pay out 55 bucks. So if he could get podium, there's a fair amount of money there. What do you think, James?
Yeah, well, let's start it in. Let's start with Mr. Anderson. And no, I'm not talking about the Matrix. I'm talking about Jason Anderson. Look, after last weekend, it's tough. There's a lot of, we got to get some better vibes going on in Kawasaki. You know, we have both teammates, they both DNF. This is Jason, one of his better venues, but last time we were here, it was the only time he wasn't on the podium or riding really good, and that means it's trending downhill. So for sure, he's a long shot. Aaron Plessinger, Hunter Lawrence, I'm going to combine both of them. For Aaron, if it was only one moto format, it'd be a guarantee. I think the reason why you have to maybe wonder is because it's second motos, but man, Aaron's been riding really good so far this year. He should be on the podium. And Hunter Lawrence, this is one of his better venues. Bike setup. If he gets to start, just like I mentioned last weekend, if he gets to start, he should be on the podium as well. Eli Tomac is a must. Not only must to be on the podium, but he must beat Jet Lawrence. One, you got the points, but really his mindset. He's got to figure it out. And of course, Jet Lawrence, I don't even know why he shouldn't. We need to have odds that say everybody else. And then you got Jet Lawrence. That's how good this dude's been here. But that's why we go racing. You never know what's going to happen. So I love it. I think the lone shot is a Jason Anderson. I'll probably stay away from that. But these other guys, look, they're pretty much a sheer lock for me. So there you have it. All right, Jason, thank you so much for letting us join the Insider Show. Clinton, let's let the people know what else they need to know.
Yeah, these odds are pre-event odds from NXT Bets. Make sure you check your local sports book. It will shift as the week goes on, and good luck making your bets, guys.
Yep, good luck with that. Any more, come check us out on the Inside Lines. That's it. JS7, my boy, Clinton Fowler. Take it easy, guys.
All right, thank you, boys. Let's welcome back to the Hall of Fame conversation for the AMA. Now, we had our buddy Selvaraj Narayana on the show last week. We've mentioned Chad Reed before, a lot of other luminaries. But the voting for the AMA Hall of Fame ends on Monday the 16th at midnight. That is Monday after this High Point race. So if you're an AMA lifetime member and or you have voting power for the Hall of Fame, get your vote in before Monday or your vote will not be heard. Let's look back at these first 3 rounds of Pro Motocross, JT. This topic here we're calling Struggle Bus. These are riders that have maybe not performed as well as we might have expected going in. I'm going to go 250 class here. If you look at the results and the standings, to me, actually, Levi Kitchen stands out the most, but he had a bad round 1. He had a chain come off. He actually was super fast at Thunder Valley. He's coming from way back. He might have even been similar to the Deegan-Hymas pace. So I'm going to exclude Kitchen from the list because he's actually been riding well. I'm surprised with Tom Vial. He has had good starts. He has had consistent finishes. He's been in position to do better, though. And he simply hasn't. He's been maybe the 4th or 5th fastest guy for a 2-time now Supercross champ, 2-time World Motocross champ. I expect him to be at least where Hymas is and putting pressure on Deegan. He hasn't quite done it. So that's struggle bus for me in the 250s. I expect more, and maybe we'll see it at a High Point. Who are you thinking for this category? Who hasn't performed as well as you would expected?
Yeah, I agree with you on Vial. You expect him to be a title contender, and he's been anything but thus far. This, for me, is easy. It has to be Jorge Prado. I've seen the guy race in person quite a bit, and even more here in the USA on their broadcast channels. This guy's the real deal, and we're not seeing it. When I watch him race, which we followed him around, especially in qualifying, just kind of trying to see what's going on with him, watch his fast laps. This is not the same rider that I've watched for years now. So whether you want to put the blame on him and the injury not quite being back, the transition to a new team and a new motorcycle, a new series, new culture, new everything, it's not from my place to put the blame anywhere in particular. I'm just telling you the net result on the racetrack is nowhere near what expectations were.
Yeah, we know his capabilities, and it shouldn't be a minute behind. We know Jet and Tomac are animals, but you look at also what Hunter Lawrence, Aaron Plessinger, Justin Cooper are doing, and he's not even close to them. That's definitely underperforming. Now, on the good side, let's talk about riders who have surprised in the opposite way. I'm going Garrett Marchbanks in the 250 class. He's actually third in points. We don't see or talk about Marchbanks much because he never starts up front. It's one of those, you look at the result at the end of the moto and you're like, oh, look who got fifth. Or in the case of Thunder Valley, oh, look who got third in the first moto. He actually tied Kitchen for third overall in points, but Kitchen got it with the better second moto tiebreaker. But Marchbanks, he only has a one-year deal with Pro Circuit. He is performing well to get another deal.
He looks fantastic. And when you're in a contract year and you're not a shoo-in to get another contract, you have to perform. It's the ultimate put up or shut up moment. And Garrett Marchbanks he's putting up. Like, this is exactly what you would want to see from him if you're Mitch Payton. And you know that he has a lot of supporters, guys like Phil Nicoletti. There's a lot of people trying to guide him in the right direction, get him on a pathway back to where I would say Daytona 2020, when he went out there and won the 250 main event. That's what they're trying to get him back to. I think he's on his way. He's a big guy, he's heavy, so that's a disadvantage on the starts. But the riding, the pure form of riding, he's doing the thing. So congrats to Garrett there. I'm going to go with the 450 guy. I'm going to go with Aaron Plessinger because there was so much talk about this championship. You look at the step forward that Hunter took last year. We knew he'd be great, but it's really been about Jet and Tomac. That was the talk coming in. And when Chase Sexton leaves, it's really those two. Not so fast because AP has inserted himself into this fight. And until the second moto last weekend, he was second in points in this championship. And he's battling for the lead. He passed Jet Lawrence this weekend. Like, if I only had 3 seconds to make my case here, I would just say he passed Jet Lawrence straight up. Drop the mic. That's really all you need. So AP has really shown up this summer.
Okay, SMX medical update. We bring in the good doctor, Joe McGinley, who was on hand hanging out with us in the elevation lower compared to what you're used to trying to climb Everest, but hanging out with us at Lakewood. Your privateer support program that you helped back is still at it, went through Supercross, now through Motocross, but unfortunately, maybe one of your most popular riders still not out there, Jerry Robin, who had that devastating injury back at the New Jersey Supercross. What's the latest on Jerry?
I just had a chance to speak with Jerry this past week, and he's in great spirits. He's just got discharged from the inpatient rehab facility, so he's just getting back home. That's going to be great for his mood for sure. As you know, traveling and everything else, so just being at home in your own bed, your own house, that helps. So he just got discharged. He's progressing along nicely with the rehab in the facility. It's still early on the injury. There's still swelling in the spine. It takes several months for all that to sort out and resolve, but he's moving in the right direction, and his attitude is just incredible at this point.
Hey, did you mention to me that he had some stem cell treatment there?
That's correct. We were speaking with him about that. He had stem cells a few weeks ago using essentially an experimental procedure for that. And it's too early to see what the results are, but that's exactly what we were recommending he get done as well. It's the best option for treatment and recovery at this stage. We discussed it on the Medical Minute this past week. Stem cells really are the frontline therapy for options once you've had surgery, once you've had decompression. This is going to be the best option. We don't know what the long-term results are going to be yet. Like I said, it's too early, but it's great he's had that done. He's doing all the right things to improve his chances of a good outcome. Very exciting times in regenerative medicine and cell therapy across the board, but specifically in these type of injuries.
Oh, that would be massive for Jerry. And yeah, as far as the funding, you could still go to Road to Recovery. That's road2recovery.com and help out. Great stuff you're doing. We certainly hope for the best for Jerry's recovery, and awesome that you're supporting the privateers. And we'll see you at some more races.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Okay, another thing we want to hit here is the SMX playoff schedule. Now, we're going to get deeper into the point scenarios, which are quite surprising with our statistician, Clinton Fowler, later in the show. But as we get so hyped on Pro Motocross every weekend, JT, let's not forget that it all leads to the playoffs. That starts September 6th at ZMAX Dragway in Concord, North Carolina. And then they're going to have a hybrid Supercross motocross track built indoors, the Dome at St. Louis. But I think the coolest part about all this is that Vegas is back on the schedule thanks to SMX. Yes, we would all love to have a Supercross at that big new stadium where the Raiders play in Vegas. I don't think they want dirt in the building. So because of SMX and the hybrid tracks, we get to go back to Vegas for a championship finale, which is as it should be.
Yeah, that finale delivered last year. I mean, what more do you want than the SMX World Championship coming down to the last lap between two brothers? Like, I don't know what more you could possibly ask for. And Tomac was in there too. Like, anything goes wrong, Tomac was working in the background to win that championship. So I think this playoff schedule has been a home run across the board. You know, we're going into year 3, and both years so far, these championships have come down to the last lap, whether it's Jet and Roxon, whether it's Deegan and Shimoda, take your pick. These things are coming down to the wire, and I would invite everybody. Like, it doesn't take much to get people to go to Vegas anyway, but the racing has been off the charts. So it's going to be another great 3 rounds and into that finale in Vegas.
Time for SMX Facts. As mentioned, Clinton Fowler, our statistician here, is going to talk about the SMX seeding. Cooper Webb wins Supercross title. Chase Sexton goes out. He's banged up now, not racing Pro Motocross, at least for the next couple weeks. So it seemed like a shoo-in. And then, JT, I think it might have been you last week that started to say, hey, wait a minute. Let's look at Justin Cooper, Aaron Plessinger. They're on the rise. So, Clinton, what does the data say here for SMX seeding?
Well, as it's currently going, Weege, it looks like Cooper Webb is going to lose the handle of the SMX seeding points on current pace. And it's likely to be with 2 rounds to go in this championship. And Aaron Plessinger should jump over Justin Cooper and Cooper Webb. This assumes that Cooper Webb continues to finish about a 6th per moto, Justin Cooper a 4th per moto, and Aaron Plessinger 3rd. So there's a lot at play here. And maybe most important, Weege, at the end of the year, we're looking at these guys being separated by just 7 points. So just the smallest of errors has the potential to drastically change the standings. JT, when we look at past years, we know these seeding points are super, super important. In 2023, Hayden Deegan ultimately won that 250 World Championship title by just 5 points. Last year, Jet Lawrence tied his brother Hunter Lawrence for the title and took the victory based off of wins. These things are going to matter down the road, JT.
It does matter. And, you know, I think the perspective on it might be a little different for each rider, because I think Cooper Webb's looking at this like, I want to be SMX World Champion. And for me to have the best chance to do that, I need to go in with the top seed so I have a little bit of a cushion. I don't know necessarily, maybe it's not fair, but I don't know necessarily if that's the same for Justin Cooper or AP. I don't know if they're like, I'm going to be SMX World Champion. Maybe they are, but for them, I think about the financial incentive difference for them if they end up 3rd in the championship or 5th or 2nd, right? You're talking about 6 figures, hundreds of thousands of dollars of difference for them if they're a couple spots ahead of where they would have been otherwise. So I'm sure, you know, knowing Cooper Webb and how insightful he is, he doesn't miss much. He knows this is happening. He knows those guys are closing in fast. So if it gets close down the stretch, it's going to be really interesting. You think about rounds like Budds Creek, these guys are going to be going for it. And maybe Jet Lawrence is out front. Maybe he's battling Tomac for the win. But the battle for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 could be all time to get that number 1 seed.
What I'm looking forward to is we're 6 motos in, and Clinton, you're making projections based on their averages. I'm looking forward to one rider having one bad moto and then seeing all your data just completely end up on the cutting room floor. I'm looking forward to that. You said the word assumption. Be careful, right?
You do have to be careful. There are assumptions here, and it is tight enough. We are coming down to the last few rounds where points, minor amounts of points and positions are going to make a difference. So something to pay attention to. And we take, for example, Jet Lawrence. He's currently 9th in the standings. I've got him projected to make it up to 5th. It depends entirely on, do we see Chase Sexton return, and when does he return, and how good does he perform when he comes back? So a lot of variables going into these projections, Weege.
But I actually feel like this next stat you have is even more significant than any of that. This is an all-time stat that just happened right in front of our eyes in Colorado.
Yep, kind of fitting that it happened in Colorado. Eli Tomac is now stood atop the podium in Supercross and Pro Motocross in the Premier class, the most in the history of the sport. He broke a tie with Chad Reed. He's now got, JT, 176 podiums. Absolutely incredible. He's third in the Supercross all-time podium list. He's second in Pro Motocross, and now first when you combine the two. JT, this has to be one of the better accomplishments or more notable stats, I guess, for Eli Tomac, the ultimate performance and longevity stat.
It is, for a guy who really doesn't need any sort of introduction, this is just such a huge accomplishment. And I'm going to give you a little homework assignment, Clint. You may already have it, but how many races has he been in, and how many podiums? Like, what is his percentage chance of landing on the podium? It has to be incredibly high. When you're talking about 176 of them, forget the titles, forget the race wins. When you're talking about a guy who that often, when he lines up, is going to end up holding a trophy, talking to myself or Will Christian or Haley Shanley or somebody up there at the end of the day, this guy is an all-timer in every metric. And at 32 years old, to be this good, we're so lucky to have this guy still around performing at this level.
It almost escaped us a little bit, Clinton, because Tomac's so good. When he doesn't win, we still figure like, oh man, he probably wanted to win. He's so good that even getting second or third still doesn't even seem like that much of accomplishment because he's still a race-winning level guy.
Yeah, and he's 32 years old. This isn't like he's at the beginning of his career, what we're typically used to seeing. So the fact that we're 12 years into his career and he's still just expected to be on the podium is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, definitely a legend. And some other math, we generally know that factory bonuses for podiums are like maybe 30 grand for third, 50 grand-ish for second, more than 100 for a win. Do the math on 176. X those numbers, and those podiums have paid out very well. Good info, Clinton. We'll crunch some more data after High Point. Okay, that's going to wrap this episode of SMX Insider. We're headed to the hills of High Point. Now, JT, this is a weird one. Back in the day, the 80s, 90s, when High Point was the Memorial Day weekend event, so there was a vacation day for most people built in, and it was really the first Eastern race of the year. Now we've had 4 Supercross races through the springtime in the Northeast. Some of the luster and excitement of High Point isn't what it used to be. There was a time when it used to rival Redbud really as the race of the year, which is weird to think. It has heritage, it has a cool track. The crowd, it still shows up en masse. I feel like the last few years it's grown back with this Father's Day weekend thing. High Point, let's not sleep on this one.
No, we shouldn't. And, Memorial Day was a big factor there. The Memorial Day weekend really changed the game for High Point. But now you think about how family-oriented SMX is. This Father's Day weekend is the perfect opportunity to come out, have a great weekend. Hopefully the weather holds out. And I think it's a little toned down. Like now it's more about the racing. I think if you went back 20 or 30 years, it was chaos. Like it was Woodstock, probably documentary worthy at times. But now it's truly about pro motocross. And yeah, it's a hidden gem of this calendar.
Yep. There's nothing that screams motocross more than this crazy winding mountain road up to the track. You don't think like anything's going to happen, and all of a sudden the mist parts on an early Saturday morning, and you see this beautiful racetrack, the pits, the fans, all that. It's quite a scene if you've never been there. Put it on your list. But if you're not going, here's how you can watch this weekend. We're back to East Coast time, so it makes it pretty easy. We don't have to do any translating here. Race day live qualifying coverage starts at 10 o'clock Eastern. That's 1 hour of coverage Saturday morning. And then the gates drop for the motos at 1 o'clock. And there'll be 4 straight hours plus halftime in between live and the live SMX Insider post-race show. So that's how you can watch High Point, all live on Peacock or the SMX Video Pass. Go to SuperMotocross.tv if you're outside the United States to subscribe. JT, as for this show, we're off also because the championship gets a weekend off before Southwick. So we will not have SMX Insider next week. We'll be back the week after that to preview Southwick. Kind of like High Point, a lot of heritage. What's not to love about that one? It's a unique atmosphere. So hopefully you get to one of, if not both of these races in person If not, we'll be back after a weekend off to preview the next race at Southwick.